this is the Boardroom on From USA Live today. We are going to be talking about not a new game, it's been out about a year, called El Grande. This is by Rio Grande Games. Sounds the same, the last two names, Grande and Grande. This is a company that works with manufacturers from Europe, and what they do is they translate the games into English and co-produce them, bringing them into this country. The interesting thing that they do, and one or two other companies do, like Ravensburg and Schmidt, is they use similar components to the European games. And basically what you have here is something better than what you see in most American games, hence the slightly higher price, too. The knock on these games is this will never appeal to the basic American mass market. They take too long, they're too hard to learn, the themes are very obscure, not designed for American audience. I don't buy this at all. From my point of view, this is the fastest growing category, at least over the past year, of any in the gaming industry. So the question today isn't just for us to demonstrate the game El Grande, but I kind of want to ask, and with the help of my guest who I'll introduce in a second, I kind of want to ask the question, will American audiences support this kind of game? Will they find this kind of game interesting? You really didn't spend a lot of time growing up playing board games. Did you play anything like Dungeons & Dragons as a kid at all? Or?
Yeah, I played Dungeons & Dragons, things like Stratego, Risk, Axis and Allies.
Okay, the basic mass market games that you see out there.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess what that's going to help us do now is to find out whether, based on the games you've played here, whether this is the kind of game that a family of Americans can enjoy, whether this is too hard or just too obscure, whatever. The basics, as far as El Grande, 2 to 5 player game. It's $40 on the market retail. You will generally find this game only in game stores. 2 to 5 players. Drew, you played this game several times. Which way did you like it the best, with less players or more?
I played a game with 2 players and I played it with 5. I liked 5 a lot better. There seemed to be a lot more commotion with 5 people, which we'll probably get to explaining later on. But with 2, it's pretty straightforward. You have more countries or more states to get involved with, and it just was more just head on head. With 5 people, you don't know which way you're gonna get.
Well, there's so many people that are going to play between your last turn and your next turn that you can't control it.
Every card gets played whenever there's 5 people.
Exactly. Also, with 2 players, the game generally breaks down into he and myself fighting over each individual area. With 5 players, you have to just back off. You have to say, I can't waste time in this area.
You have to know when to quit.
Exactly. Now, the object of the game overall, and I guess we should first take a look at the map here with our game cam that we have set up, no small expense. I think that's through the Hubble we're getting this shot now? Okay, that's what I heard. The board is split up into various regions of Spain. There's about 9 regions. The object of the game is to place your small pieces, and these are called caballeros, or caballeros. I got to remember, double L pronounces Y.
I think that's why.
Okay. The whole point is to gain a majority of influence in each individual area, or as many areas as you can, so that if I have one more caballero in an area, I have control of that province. In a multiplayer game, when you're talking 5 players, there will be a first, second, and third place finish in each area when the scoring is done. Again, the board is pretty self-explanatory. I like it because there's a track around the outside to keep score, and everything is covered on the turn chart. So you can actually, after each turn, you just move the marker down, and the game lasts 9 turns. That's all there is to it. After 3 turns, each 3 turns, you will score the game based on the current situation on the board. Some other basics. The age for this game, they recommend 12 and up. I've had no trouble with 10 and even somewhat younger. Once you play the game once, I feel it's pretty easy to pick up. How did you go with that?
Yeah, I picked it up probably on like the second or third turn, finding out what I should do and just the strategies. But
I think you play this game through 1 or 2 turns, you're going to have a real good idea, and that's what we're going to do in a few minutes. We're going to play through one quick turn. Time to play, let's see, for a 2-player game, how long? About an hour?
Probably about an hour, like 45 minutes to an hour.
It took, most of the time I've noticed, about 45 minutes to an hour for the first game with 2 players. But when you add 5 players, you can get into about an hour, maybe an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Which allows for a lot of interaction and yelling at your mother or whatever is going on in the game. And interestingly enough, in the rules, they have a version for a short game, and it's very self-contained. It's very easily understood. So if you want to cut it down to half that time, or at least a third of the time we mentioned, you can certainly do it. Mm-hmm. Let's see, where are we here? We've covered some of the components. You've noticed the little wooden pieces on the board. Those, as I said, are the influence pieces, and they call them caballeros for the Spanish theme. You have a king in the middle, and that's important because the king, while it will be moved constantly during the game, whenever you play your pieces, you can never place in the area where the king is. They have to be adjacent. That's part of the strategy of the game. There's a lot of other things here. You'll see a castle. That's kind of a hidden area where you can stash some pieces and use them later to turn the tide in just about any area. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to cover all the specifics now. I just want to give you a basic feel. Okay, now we come down to one of the most interesting things. We've given you the overview, and that's with the board, the pieces, and so forth. You can all see this very clearly. It's all in 5 different colors. Whenever you take a look at the board, it's obvious what you have to do to get an advantage. You can see very easily from just about anywhere around the board. But the next thing is the cards. And there's 2 kinds of cards. One is used for bidding, and the bidding is broken down into bidding for who will go first. But for every advantage on these cards and for every advantage of going first, there is a counter advantage. Basically, everybody has the same cards, 1 through 13 as far as bidding. And if I use my 13 card once, it's gone for the rest of the game. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if there was a card in the action pile, which we're bidding on also, because whoever wins the bid, not only do they go first, they get their pick of the action cards. But there's a twofold problem here. If you bid high, you can't bring any pieces onto the board. If you bid low, you can bring a lot of pieces on the board. Everything's a trade-off. Everything's a decision in this game. You think it's easy, and the strategy just built up and built up. In addition, with the action cards, each one has a different value. Some are very powerful, some are very weak. If you play and choose a powerful one, it inhibits you in other ways. So again, 2 decks, 2 sets of decisions, a lot of decisions, but very simple play mechanics, and we're going to start that very soon. One last thing I did want to mention, and I'm a big stickler with rules. This game has extremely well-written rules, but you may never find out because they also include a placemat-sized glossy card which almost explains the entire game in 5 minutes. I didn't even bother reading the rules and looked at this card. It gives you just about every bit of information you want. I would really encourage manufacturers to take this as an example. This is just a wonderful, wonderful thing. And as you recall, the first time we played it, we didn't even go to the rules very often.
Yeah, we just looked at that to see where to place everything and at the start.
It gives you the setup. It explains the pieces. It shows you the strategies. Really, really nicely done.